My life was completely destroyed. I couldn't understand why nothing was working out. Contracts that were all agreed upon, like, look, let's sign, you're the one we want, and then you never showed up. I work in the automotive industry, and to sell cars more easily and present a newer vehicle, basically to gain an advantage. I would lower the mileage on the cars. Doing this, thinking I would have an advantage, I would sell, and sometimes I even did. We thought everything was fine, that the sale had already been considered. Everything was perfect, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, something happened and the person would come and be rude. There was no more business, and we were left confused. Contracts that were all settled. Look, let's sign. You're the one we want. Everything's all set. We'll sign tomorrow. Then someone would come looking for you, and you wouldn't show up. Look, I was from another denomination and I learned about the 10% tithe. But what was this practice of tithing like? I would give. Sometimes I would fail. I can say that I would even. I think I wasn't negotiating with God. I was negotiating with myself, saying, hey, I gave here. You know, this month I might not give next month. That kind of thing. Like a good negotiator. I would end up sometimes negotiating with myself. No problem. God won't mind. During that time, I lost a lot. Besides the financial things. Besides what I already mentioned, which was the main thing. I also lost because sometimes you would do a certain deal that you thought was a good deal, and you would end up losing. So, it seemed like you were taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Suddenly, you would take 3 steps back, then 2 steps forward. After a very complicated, very difficult divorce, I came to know the Universal Church in 2015. When the pastor spoke about tithing, when he started talking about exactly what it meant, when he saw the word and started talking about the 10%, I was able to understand what that 10% was. That it wasn't simply about money. It's not just 10%. The tithe is the first fruits. As soon as I understood what tithing was, I stopped everything. Absolutely everything we thought was normal. I stopped absolutely everything. It was really, I thought I didn't have a bad character. But in fact, I did. From the moment I started tampering with the mileage. It was a despicable act, and I took a stand, and it was radical. It ended up bringing everything to a complete standstill. I said, regardless of the deal they offer me, it could be something huge, where I'll earn a lot. I don't want it. I don't want it. Even the smallest things. For example, at my house, I had a little device that picked up all the channels, but I threw it away. I truly took action to please God. What I wanted was to please God and obey God. God's response was very quick, because when we commit ourselves, when we give 100%, God immediately responds. I even have a testimony about this. Something that happened that was very powerful. There were 2 cars that had their mileage tampered with. What did I do? Since I was closing a deal and needed to sell those cars, the owner of a property I was selling said, look, I'll give you 90 days to sell your vehicles. I advertised both vehicles and stated in the ad that the original mileage was higher, that I had altered the mileage, and that the actual mileage wasn't accurate. I put it in the ad itself. That's how I put it. I already received a call. It was very intense. I received a call about this car you're selling. I'm here. It was out of state. I don't remember if he was. I know he was out of state, and he wanted a car exactly like that to leave in Sao Paulo. He was also a businessman. Right off the bat I said, look, did you see that the mileage isn't what it says? I'll give you an example. The car was showing 80,000 kilometers, but it actually had over 120,000. I said, "Look, this car has over 120,000 kilometers. Did you see?" He said, "No, that's no problem for me. Let's close the deal." And he closed the deal with me. If I'm not mistaken, I think he sent a down payment and came from out of state, arrived, and paid. And the same thing happened with another car. So, I had 90 days to sell the car, and I sold it in a week. That's how it was. You can't say it's not supernatural. There's no way around it, because I'm in this field. The moment you say the mileage was tampered with, the person will immediately suspect you, saying, "Wow." But since I was honest, without fear, regardless of the outcome, I put God first and myself second. And thank God everything turned out all right. Today my life has changed. Today I am blessed. I have a wonderful property where I live, which is also a blessing from God. I always say that everything is from God. Nothing is mine. God gave me a house on the beach, cars, and so on. But none of that. He gave me a blessed marriage. And it's impossible not to get emotional. Why? Because I look back and see how much I suffered. And I say today that it was unnecessary. Because if I had known God sooner, if I had had an encounter with God sooner, I would have avoided suffering. So what God has provided for me today, what I am experiencing today, is truly supernatural. But without the Holy Spirit, none of this is worth anything. Because we know that 1 + 1 = 2. Everything will work out. But the most important thing is your life with God.